Hey, YouTube. So Chris Brown's in jail again. Well, he passed through the jail again. All right. Apparently, Thursday night, Chris Brown was in a concert in Palm Beach. Police was waiting for him to finish the concert and immediately arrested him. He had done something in Florida before, another part of Florida, and they had a warrant out for him in Florida. So I guess those kind of warrants, they have tri-state warrants. So if you come within 3 states, they can arrest you. But certainly if you come back to that state, they can arrest you. They're not going to follow him around the world to catch him. But he came back to Florida a year later, and they got him. Okay, so this incident is for, he punched out a photographer. Okay, so this is not new for Chris Brown. You know, he's had this kind of trouble before. I'm very fearful for that brother because, I mean, he's been so successful. You hate to see people get all of this money. They're barely even aware of how successful they are because I mean, I had to say it, but because they're high. They're high all the time. So after the Rihanna incident several years ago, people figure, well, now he's been exposed. He did a tour, you know, tell him how he's going to get some help, how he's going to have violence training and so forth. But I just don't know how successful people are, people who are violent in their nature. I think a lot of people, whatever has caused them to become violent, happened a very long time ago. So the roots are usually in the childhood somewhere. So maybe he was abused in some way, or just the streets turned him that way. But it seems like this man becomes a monster when he's high. I think he will make much more rational decisions. Even though I can imagine paparazzi gets on everybody's nerves. But you have to be able to control your hands. You have to be able to have an argument with your woman, whoever she is. You have to be able to have an argument without putting your hands on her. You have to be able to have an argument with people who work for you because you have the power over them. You figure they ain't going to tell because you're paying them. You still have to have enough self-control that you will keep your hands to yourself. And this is where his brother's failing. So we've all seen all of these black celebrities, Wesley Snipes, Little Richard, James Brown, all of these people. There's the whole list of them. People always say, oh, they're after the black man. It is a tragic thing for people to accumulate all this success, end up in prison in their most productive time, what would have been their most productive time. They end up stuck in prison some damn where because they can't keep their hands to themselves. Chris Brown, all these entourages he rules with, if somebody got to punch somebody, it should be his bodyguards, I would imagine. If someone is so far out of line, that's what he has security for, and I'm sure he has security. But he has that violence in him, and I don't know how you get over the violence. I used to meet good guys in the pen. Not everybody's good. You know, you meet a few people wherever you go. But I would talk to these guys, straight dudes, on the yard, whatever. I made some friends there. And when I found out what they were in there for, I just couldn't believe it. I said, how can a person be this nice, have this much personality, this much talent, be this smart, and can't keep his hand to it themselves because he didn't knock somebody's teeth out and they stuck in prison? It's crazy, man. My advice to Chris Brown, first of all, the obvious thing is if you got clean. If you got clean, you have more self-control and you make more rational decisions. But if you can't get clean, if that's not where he's at in his life, you got to go to anger management. You got to figure out a way that you can become angry without hitting anybody. Hitting people is going to end you up in prison. That's where you're going. Violence. When they describe people in prison, what do they say? Guilty of a violent crime. 3 strikes law here in California. What? You have to, first strike has to be violent. Then you can get bullshit crimes and go to prison for the rest of your life. But it has to be, it's all around violence. People are not going to put up with your violence. At some point, you're going to hurt somebody seriously. I'm sure he probably plays with guns and all that kind of stuff. Somebody pissed you off the wrong way, things get out of control, and here you done come out of a stupor, being high all night, fucking all night, come out of it and realize you done killed somebody or somebody's laying on your damn carpet. This brother's head for trouble. What good is it to make millions of dollars and you sitting up in a damn cell with a toilet in the room and you got a mop floor just like any other inmate? Plus, people are going to be jealous of you and make it harder for you. Cops going to be jealous of you, of your successes on the streets, and he's probably got some attitude problems, and they're going to make life a living hell for you. All because you can't keep your hands to yourself. I don't have to know the answer to this. Like I said, I met guys in there, seem like nice guys. You don't want to cross them. They immediately go to violence. So I hope that hopefully this thing. See, I wish black people would just get over this thing with this. When you teach people with violence, when they are raised up, being beaten with extension cords and belts like a slave, having to strip their clothes off so they can be beaten, to be humiliated, you have to go to school with welts all over your body and all that. There's a price for all that. There's a price for all of that. That is why we are more violent than other races of people. Now, people don't like it. Y'all mad at me just for saying that. But it is the truth. It is my life experiences. I spent years and years on the streets, and I'm telling you, the violence you teach young people, when you traumatize them, and they're stuck carrying that burden around, because for them, all conflict is set up with violence. We're going to have to stop beating people up, stop beating our kids up. That's a part of it. That is nothing but slavery. People, when they were slaves, they got beat by these masters. They learned that as a way to handle their children. And that is passed along generation to generation to generation. It is a generational curse. I was treated that way, and I used to wonder, how could this person treat me this way? But I said, they didn't learn that on their own. Somewhere or other, they have been taught that. That is the way you handle our children. The white folks ain't beating their kids like, not the ones who become successful. They're not beating their kids like that. So this violence is deep in Chris Brown, and he tends to go in that direction. He hasn't gotten any huge trouble yet, but it's headed for a disaster. And it's just a damn shame. Now, there are many celebrities who have put themselves together, gotten themselves clean. But see, the other thing about Chris Brown is he got all that goddamn money. Now, they say he wasn't in jail a whole hour. He was in there less than an hour. They broke down the minutes, 54, 56 minutes. Less than an hour, he was back on the street, back in his concert. The problem with that is, first of all, you never have to pay the price for anything. But the problem with that is he's never got an opportunity to get clean. Many times on the street, I was rescued. I was so high for so damn long that there ain't no way in the hell I could see anything rationally. The only way I could get clean was to be locked up. So I got a reprieve regularly. People with a lot of money, they don't get no reprieve. Their lawyers handle it, and this man goes on. But Chris Brown, you headed for a wreck, brother. You know, I wish you could stop it at some point, turn your life around, and enjoy the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You could be a great guy in business. I mean, in business, in music industry. Even after you stop performing, you could be a huge person. But it's not going to happen if you're in jail or you're in prison over some bullshit. Eventually, it's going to be enough. Like I said, in California, 3 strikes, you're out. 1 strike, violence. And you live in California. So I wouldn't play with these people. I know you're sick of being in the news, but in some hip-hop circles, being in jail is no big deal, and it gives you street cred. I know that. I know that. But it's serious stuff. If I were him, I would never own a weapon. I don't own no weapons. If anybody has a weapon in my house, it would be paid, licensed security, who was their job keep the place secure. I would not own any kind of weapons like that. I would recognize, okay, I cannot control my temper. I will let paid employees handle it. All my issues. You can't handle them, Chris Brown. You are prone to violence, and that's something you're gonna have to learn how to deal with, or you're gonna end up in prison for the rest of your life. It's gonna happen. I'm not trying to judge him or anything else. He didn't put the violence in himself, but it's in there. It's in there, and I don't see that many cases of it stopping. The only time I see it stopping is people get clean, in their right mind, use their sponsors, whatever they have to use, and learn how to get through the world without hitting people. All right, he's out now. He's back on tour.